Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Porch. Hope you are all doing well. As you can see by the screen today, we are doing some March Madness. I know I'm mainly a football channel, and I also know that there's been a lot of stuff going on with free agency. I will be sure to cover that later in the week, but I figured, why not? Why not do a bracket? I like doing these. They're always fun to do. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Now, just as a disclaimer, I haven't watched really much college basketball this year. I followed it a little bit, so we'll see how this goes. All right, let's start off in the West first and just kind of make our way, I guess, across and then down. Starting at Gonzaga versus whoever that's going to be. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick Gonzaga. Seems like a pretty basic choice. Next up, number 8 Oklahoma versus number 9 Missouri. Now, I am going to be using ESPN's little thingy here just to give me some more background on the teams, just to see how well they do against other opponents. I do want to look at their records from like the past 10 games or so, because I think that'll give a really good feel as to where these teams are at. So let me just do that real quick. All right, so it looks like Oklahoma's been doing very bad as of late, even though they're the slightly higher seed coming into this. Their only win, really, is against Iowa State, and they're kind of unranked, so that doesn't really give me a lot of confidence about them. Granted, these games have been kind of close, but they've still been losing them. Meanwhile, Missouri they've been okay. They've won some, lost some, won some, lost some. Although they did lose to number 8 Arkansas recently. Pretty close game from the looks of it. I don't know. Personally, I'm just feeling Missouri in this matchup. I like how they've looked as of late, according to their schedules. I just like who they've played and how close they've kept up. All right, Creighton versus Carolina. I don't know who that... Or California, excuse me. Santa Barbara. Sorry about that, Santa Barbara. So the 5 and 12 games you always got to watch out for. So you can see here, 64% of the time, 5 seeds win. That should be way more than it normally is. It does look like Creighton's just the better team. They played better competition. No offense to Santa Barbara. I don't think we're going to see a 5-12 there. Next up, Virginia versus Ohio. I have a lot of faith in Virginia. I like Tony Bennett as a coach. He knows how to get his team fairly far in the tournament. Next up, USC versus, looks like it'll be Wichita State maybe, or Drake. I'm just going to take USC in this matchup. After that, Kansas versus East Washington. Once again, I'm going to take the high seed there. Then we have Oregon going against VCU. This is a very interesting game because Oregon being in the Pac-12, they don't play anybody of note really, because the Pac-12 has kind of sucked. So I actually do want to take a look at both of their schedules. So, it really doesn't look like VCU has played anyone of note. But then again, let's take a look at Oregon. Yeah, Oregon really hasn't played anybody of note. However, it does look like they've beaten their opponents quite a bit at points. I do like that. It does seem that VCU's defense might be a little better, but you can't really trust these numbers because of the difference in conference play. Just mainly because VCU, I would assume, is a mid-major school. That's the biggest thing with that. And you can see that their points per game are pretty lower than Oregon's, a whole 3 points. And it looks like the last time VCU went up against a good team, like a major conference team in West Virginia, that lost by 12 from the looks of it, as well as even Memphis, although they did win that game by 11. This is a tough choice. I think I'm just going to go Oregon here. Just trust the higher seed to win out pretty much. And then I'm going to take Iowa to beat GCU. We might as well complete out these spots as we go. So let's go Gonzaga versus Missouri. I think Gonzaga wins that. Creighton versus Virginia. This is an interesting matchup. But like I said before, I really trust in Virginia. I really like them as a team. So we're going to go Virginia there. Next up, an interesting matchup. We've got USC going against Kansas. You can see there, Kansas has definitely played the better teams. They've had some better results as well. I know they started out the season really bad. I think they've rebounded very nicely, though. I'm going to go with Kansas to win this game. And then at the bottom here, Oregon versus Iowa. I'm going to take Iowa for this one. So right now, pretty boring. I've kind of got the top seeds for everything, although that might change with this next round here. We'll see. So coming out of here between Virginia and Gonzaga, Once again, I'm going to take Gonzaga. I really like them this year. Now, this is an interesting matchup, Kansas versus Iowa. Now, I have watched Iowa play a decent amount this year because I'm in the Big Ten. I watch Wisconsin. They're my team. So I've seen them play a couple of times. I've seen Luka Garza, obviously, and what he's done. I know that their offense is amazing. Their defense is kind of whatever. See, it says here they're a better second-half team than Iowa is, or just from the looks of it. They've pretty much got the same record against top 25 teams. You can see the stats here, the points per game, as well as like the scoring per game. It's so weird. They're like two very opposite teams to each other. Although I do tend to find that the more defensive-minded teams will sometimes come on top in the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten, the March Madness tournament. I don't know. These are two very even teams. It seems like Kansas is more consistent, but Iowa has also played pretty well as of late, even if they didn't have the best Big Ten showing. But I think Joe Wieskamp might be out. I think I'm going to take Kansas with this one. That might be a little bit of a hot take, but that's what I'm thinking with them. And then to finish things out, I think it's pretty easy to go with Gonzaga here in my Final Four from this region. They've just looked very good this year. So yeah, Gonzaga makes it to my Final Four from the West. Let's move on to the South then. Baylor versus Hartford. Got to be Baylor. Then North Carolina versus Wisconsin. This is going to be a tough one to pick for me, being a Wisconsin boy myself. I watched some Wisconsin this year, and you can see from that record they didn't do so hot against top 25 teams. They were so inconsistent this year. It was actually kind of hard to watch at points. And I just like the way that UNC scores. There you can see that they've got a much better points per game average than Wisconsin does. However, they are also playing in the ACC, which is not as strong as the Big Ten is this year. This is going to be actually a really good game to watch. If you get a chance to watch this, not even saying that because I'm a homer towards Wisconsin, but I would say if you have a chance to watch this game, definitely check it out. This is going to be a fun one in the first round. I think at the end of it, though, I'm going to go the homer pick. I'm going to pick Wisconsin just because I know they sure are not going to move on past this point. Number 5, Villanova. What am I saying? Villanova. Number 5, Villanova versus Winthrop. I'm going to go Villanova here. I really like their tournament experience. They always put up decent runs in the tournaments. And then we've got Purdue versus North Texas. I like the Big Ten this year, so we're going to go Purdue. Texas State, Utah State, Texas Tech. I like them, especially with the addition of Mac McClung there. He's been done well. Next up, Arkansas versus Toothpaste University. I'm sorry, Colgate. Didn't mean to make fun of you guys. If anyone's watching this who goes to Colgate, yell at me in the comments, I guess. And then Florida and Virginia Tech. This is an interesting game here. You can see Virginia Tech's got 2 more wins on top 25 teams. They've beaten Virginia. They've beaten Villanova by 8 points. That's a pretty nice win. Clemson as well. I really like their results, honestly. And it looks like Florida's big wins have only been by a couple points. I think I'm going to go Virginia Tech here. I like the way they look. And then we'll finish it out by going Ohio State. Back towards the top of the bracket. I'm just going to entertain myself with this part here. Just see. Yeah, see, like Baylor beat Illinois, who's an extremely good team, by 13 earlier in the year. I know it's earlier in the year. But they continue to beat teams just... Yeah, I think they're so good. Their offense is so good. I don't think Wisconsin can slow them down enough. They're too good. I do think this will be a better game than people think. That's the homer coming out at me again, but I do think Baylor takes that one. Villanova versus Purdue next. This is a very interesting game because, well, we've seen Villanova. Villanova's a good team coming into this, but Purdue is in the stronger conference, so they've had better competition to play against. But as you can see there, every single game, it seems that they play against these elite teams in the Big Ten. They've lost by a decent margin. Iowa by 15, Illinois by 8, Michigan by 17. Now, they did lose Colin Gillespie. Wow, terrible pronunciation there, dude. I think... This is a tough game to pick, mainly just because Colin Gillespie went out. There, I got it right that time. Like 14 points a game, that's hard to replace on a college team, but it looks like they've got a decent team otherwise. Dang, as much as I like Purdue in the Big Ten, I think I'm gonna go Villanova here. Texas Tech and Arkansas next. I know Texas Tech had a rough start to the year, but I know that they've bounced back very nicely. I know Mac McClung is the big name this year. If you guys remember, he was that kid who had those crazy dunks in high school. But Arkansas has won 12 of their last 13. They've been on kind of a tear. But I also don't know if they had to play Alabama. That would have been a good game to see. I think just because of Texas Tech's sort of recent go of it, I think I'm going to pick them. I really like how they look on paper. And then we'll choose Ohio State here at the bottom. So then to round this out, we have Baylor versus Villanova. I think against a team like Purdue, you can get away without a 14-point per game scorer. Not against Baylor. I think they have to move on. And then Texas Tech versus Ohio State. This is another interesting matchup. Ohio State started off the year really strong, kind of tapered off, and then sort of came back toward the end of the year. So it seems like Texas Tech is more of a modern style, like just sort of guns blazing type of team, where OSU is more disciplined. Seems like they have a better free throw percentage and a good turnover rate. I personally more so like the stable teams. I like my Big Ten teams. So I think it's hard for me to pick against Ohio State here. So I think I will pick Ohio State. But then in the Final Four, I think Baylor has to be my team to move on. They've been too good this year. Even with sort of their stumbles in the Big 12 tourney, or just toward the end of the year, really. Let's go down to the East bracket now. I'm going to go Michigan, number 1. They deserve it. Then LSU versus St. Bonaventure. Is that what they're called? St. Bonaventure, okay. So obviously LSU has played more teams. They've had to play in the SEC, which has been very good this year. Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, Texas Tech, who are in the Big 12. You can see that staggering number there for opponents' points per game. 60 points per game. That is a low margin. They do only score 70 points a game as well. They really like to keep things grit and grind from the looks of it. It looks like SBU gets very strong guard play, according to this little snippet down here. Oof, this is another tough one to choose. See, because LSU, right, they've lost to all these top 25 teams, so it's like, but they're also pretty close games too, so, let me look at their schedules, see what's going on. So it looks like as of late, they've kind of went on a tear. It looks like they did well in the SEC tourney, so that's good for them. But then the Bonnies, they also finished strong. I mean, look at that. Look at all those wins. I honestly, I think I have to go LSU just because of the fact that they've played the better teams and they've come out on top as of recent. They're on a nice streak coming into this tournament. Colorado versus Georgetown next. See, this is another interesting one because, Georgetown being in the Big East, they really came out firing in the Big East tournament, winning over Creighton in that title game. You know what? I just like the way Georgetown went into the Big East tournament and upset everybody. I don't care what the decisions are telling me. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Georgetown because why not? Florida State, UNC, Greensboro. I'm going to go Florida State there. BYU and either Michigan State or UCLA. Gotta go with the Mormons here. Texas, gonna go with them. Uconn versus Maryland. This is an interesting matchup here. Uconn didn't do so hot against top 25 teams, it looks like. Although they do have the way better ranking. And it looks like Uconn has had a resurgence in the latter half of the year. Let's go ahead and take a look at their schedules. Looks like Maryland got a tough break. They had to play Michigan there. I don't know. I really don't like how they ended their season. And wow, I really like how they ended their season there. For UConn, even if they lost to Creighton there, that was a pretty close game. I'm going to go with UConn. And then Alabama. Going back towards the top now. Michigan. I mean, come on. Georgetown versus Florida State. We're going to go Florida State here. Mormons versus the Texas Longhorns. This is an interesting game to look at here, but I think at the end of it, Texas has played the better competition. They're more prepared for this kind of thing. Got to go with them. And then Alabama to round things off. Finish this region off. I'm going to go Michigan and Alabama. I really like Alabama this year. And in a bit of a surprise, I'm going to choose Alabama to go on to the Final Four. I really like their modern style offense. I just like everything about them, really. And Michigan has still been kind of rusty coming back from that COVID break they had. So then for the Midwest region, starting off with Illinois at the top, then Loyola and Georgia Tech. Come on, you got to go Sister Jean. Come on, dude. Tennessee versus Oregon State. This one would be a lot harder if Tennessee wasn't in that stacked SEC conference this year, so I'm going to go Tennessee. OK State and Liberty. I mean, come on. Cade Cunningham has been electric this year. Aztecs versus Syracuse. It looks like San Diego State's been doing pretty well this year, so I'm going to pick them. West Virginia next. These teams are very similar. Both of them shoot like crap from the looks of it, and they both have pretty good defense. I don't know why I'm looking at this one so much. I think I like Clemson more. And then we'll pick Houston down here. Poor Cleveland State. That's in my conference for the school I go to. Shout out to the Horizon League real quick. All right, once again, going to the top, I'm going to choose the Fighting Illini. Between Tennessee and Oklahoma State, well, I do really like Oklahoma State this year. I like Cade Cunningham. He can carry them to the wins, and I think the Vols just have the better team. I'm going to choose Tennessee there. Although I do think if you haven't heard the name Cade Cunningham before, well then, you're going to hear his name a lot during this tournament. Next up, San Diego State versus West Virginia. From the looks of things, I really like San Diego State's defense, so I actually think I'm going to pick them in a little bit of an upset there. And then Clemson versus Houston. I'm going to pick Houston to win this game as well. Illinois and Tennessee. I really like how Illinois looked during the Big Ten tourney. I'm going to pick them. And I'm going to pick Houston as well. Kind of no surprises there. You know, I always end up having these really boring brackets, don't I? I have a lot of 1 seeds. I have a lot of faith in my 1 seeds. Speaking of faith in 1 seeds, I'm gonna pick Illinois once again to move on. Okay, Final Four. This is where things start to get a little more interesting. So we've got Gonzaga versus Bama, and then Baylor and Illinois on the other side. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, but I'm gonna pick the upset. You know, I really thought going into this video I would pick Gonzaga to win the whole thing, but I don't know, something about Alabama. I really like them. I really like Nate Oates. Is it Bill Oates? Sorry, Nate Oates. I really like him as a coach. I like their pro style offense. I just like everything about it. And then on the other side, Baylor and Illinois. I mean, how close can you get as teams? Like, my goodness, just look at the stat sheet. They're basically the same stinking team. I don't know. I loved Baylor at the beginning of the year. I absolutely loved them. I mean, just look at that final run there from Illinois, though. Like, they've won every single game. They haven't lost a game since late February. And while Baylor's in a similar camp, they did lose to Oklahoma State, and they had some tough losses to end out the year. I really like the momentum for Illinois here coming into the tournament. I'm going to pick them. So here we have it. Number 2, Alabama. Coming out of the East. Midwest Fighting Illini. Who do I got winning? I feel like I have to go with my Big Ten roots here. I'm going to pick Illinois to win this game. It's just, there's something about the Illinois team. I really like them. I do really like Alabama's pro-style offense as well. They have such a bright future ahead of them. But for this one, I got to pick Illinois. This is going to be, I think, a very close game. This is going to be kind of a grinder. Well, actually, probably not with that pro-style offense from Alabama. I don't think it'll be, actually. From how modern these teams play, I'm going to pick a 65-61 final score for my tiebreaker. And there you have it. That is my bracket. Feel free to roast me down in the comments section for how bad it is and why your team should be in the Final Four. Anyway, let's go ahead and submit these picks. There we go. Oh yeah, picking Illinois, baby. If you like what you saw in today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. I'll get back to posting football stuff later in the week. Maybe Saturday or so you'll see another video go up. I'm just kind of waiting for the free agency stuff to sort of die down. And then we'll get to talking about some football because, man, there's been a lot of stuff going on. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.